Hey everybody, this is LordYanLiang once again, and welcome to Part 5 of GameInformer's Top 200 Video Games of All Time. It's been a long journey, and thank you for coming with me, and I hope you've enjoyed my rants and my opinions along the way. And I figured for, the last 10 for a big, momentous list, I should do something a little more, record myself, give you as close to a live and personal recap of the last 10 as I can. So, without further ado, I will cover the top 10 video games in Game Informer's top 200 video games of all time and give you my personal takes on them. Now, you will see below I've already listed all of Game Informer's comments, everything word for word of what they said. So I'm just going to go through the list now really quick and give you my take. Number 10 is Miss Pac-Man, and I do agree with this pick. I actually read, I believe it was in the next issue, the January issue of Game Informer, one of the two, I actually read the story, I read it somewhere, of the creation of Miss Pac-Man. I read the story of the MIT students who had created Miss Pac-Man. They just started making modifications for arcade cabinets, and they just looked at Pac-Man and they remade it, and lo and behold, Atari picked them up. That wasn't their only mod. They also did, I believe, they did Super Asteroids and stuff like that. There's a very rich history beyond Miss Pac-Man, but getting back on topic, what can I say? It is an icon. It's one of the greatest, games of all time. Absolutely. Old school puzzle, testing your reflexes, testing everything. So, I gotta agree with Miss Pac-Man. Gotta agree with it on the list. I gotta agree with it on top 10, as the number 10 spot. Number 9 is Super Mario Bros. 3, and this is kind of a given. Obviously, you're going to find this game on the top 10 list. And honestly, for my money, though, I think I would have probably put it amongst the top 5 as opposed to the top 10. I believe Super Mario Bros. The original was number 2 on this list. I would have replaced the original with Super Mario Bros. 3 because 3 was such a groundbreaking game. It had more power-ups, it brought in a whole new world exploration system. And really the proof is in the pudding. You've seen the world system repeated. You've seen the general gameplay and graphic style of Mario 3 in many later NES games. You didn't really see that so much with the original Super Mario Brothers. And really just the impact is long-lasting. Fun fact, if you look in the original manual of Super Mario Bros. 3, this was the first game where Bowser was given that name. He was, for the original Super Mario Brothers games for the Nintendo, he was King Koopa. But it was actually with 3 that he was labeled as Bowser, as Bowser the King Koopa. So, again, a movie was essentially made to promote this game. What else can you say? It's gotta be the top Mario game. No disrespect to the original or any of the others, but it seems obvious to me. Number 8 is Final Fantasy III, or rather Final Fantasy VI, 3 in America, originally, 6 nationally, 6 when it was renamed, and I love this game. I am absolutely in love with Final Fantasy VI. One of my favorite games of all time, ever. Top 3 in my Final Fantasy picks. The storyline was beautiful. It introduced so many characters, many more characters for its time. It's just gorgeous game. The magic system, the storyline, especially the idea of the main character really being the villain Kefka. he has to be one of the most dynamic villains of all time, and he does the one thing that villains that no other villain has done. He set out to destroy the world, and he actually succeeded. This is actually a very big story move, storyline development, especially for me as a writer and lover of fictions and storytelling. It's a very dynamic move to have your main villain succeed in his plan. And even though he was killed at the end of Final Fantasy VI, the world has been changed forever in his image. It's not like, the world was restored, everything was undone. They killed the evil that was Kefka, who had ruled this world that he shattered, but, the thousands of lives never came back. The world was never, returned to its rightful image. He changed that planet to his whim. It's in his image, and that's never been changed back. That's an incredible story dynamic. And that's just one of the many things that made Final Fantasy VI so great. If you haven't played it, absolutely play it. Definitely worth the top 10.